Hello, governors. Since the release of the new museum buffs, there's been one commander who's been standing out quite a bit in my opinion, and that's Mehmed. And people have been asking, is Mehmed now a better secondary commander than Honda Tedakatsu? We will find out, in my opinion. I'll be putting my opinion out there of what I think's better, whether it's a Mehmed or a Honda if you're going to run a secondary commander. Now, the reason people are going a bit crazy over Mehmed recently is his new museum level up, alright? So when he first came out, he had that 20% health, which was great, and 5% skill damage. Now, Lilith went a bit crazy here on an already fairly decent commander and decided they would add another 10% health and another 10% skill damage. This is just really, really, really good, especially in a commander who already has fairly high skill damage. Mehmed now is sitting at a cool 1150 direct damage factor in an AoE. If you expertise him, that is increased, obviously. This AoE hits 5 enemies, which is even better. And he can deal, obviously, additional damage to cities. He gets straight 20% attack. That's not the best, but not the worst. It's free stats. Main thing, 20% skill damage bonus. Plus is now extra 10%. We're looking at a 30% skill damage bonus on Mehmed. Second skill, only for cities, though it is very good. And then his third skill, 10% troop capacity. That is really, really good. So, the thing with troop capacity, just going to go over it real quick. Troop capacity, since I'm in Season of Conquest here, you can see I've got the crystals in the top right-ish of the screen. Thing with season technology in Season of Conquest, you can see here, people get a lot of troop capacity. I'm pretty sure the maximum amount of troops you can have is like 480,000 if you're not running like Mehmed with increased capacity. So that capacity in Season of Conquest does lose its value a tad, but still it's powerful. Now, increased troop capacity in modes like Ark of Osiris or Sunset Canyon / Lost Canyon, troop capacity is extremely, extremely good. It's high value stat in that game mode since you don't get the extra troop capacity from Crystal Tech. You can see here, his troop capacity is 194. But if I go into Canyon, see my Canyon lineup currently. My defense. I've got Mehmed for 2 reasons. First of all, he's just got that troop capacity, even though it's only like 2% for me since he's level 1. But even then, 2,000 units can make the difference. So that troop capacity in top tier Canyon is also extremely good. I'm sure that some players in my kingdom are probably using it. Let's see. Yeah, you can see right there, Davos. He's using Mehmed and his name eludes me. How do I forget? Sargon. Mehmed and Sargon the Great. I'm sure if I went to Lost Canyon, someone's going to be using a Mehmed. Or someone's got a Honda. You see there's a Honda and a Sargon. There, Mehmed XY. He's rank 7, so that's really good. Now, the debate is whether or not Mehmed is better than Honda. So, here's the thing. Honda's a Season of Conquest commander. He was just released, like, probably about 6 months ago. And he's been known to be a great secondary commander. You can see here, I spun the wheel to 10 for him. I do like Honda quite a bit. Now, the thing with Honda is you can't get him from gold keys. Mehmed can be obtained if we go into the tavern. He can be obtained from the golden chests. Alright, let's just go down. Alright, gold chest rewards, you can see here, Mehmed, he's in there. So this is an extremely high value commander, really just inside of the gold chests. So if we go in here, Honda's great. 1,250 damage, but only to 3 targets. Mehmed does more damage factor. So less damage factor, but to more targets. So next thing, this damage factor. Also, if he's the primary commander, he does 2,500. Now, it requires more rage. He doesn't reduce his rage like Edward does, but the thing is, you don't really want to use leadership. First of all, he's a leadership commander, so him as a primary, you're going to need to make leadership gear, and that causes its own troubles. since they didn't make Siege Commanders leadership, they put them under a separate engineering tree. And also, leadership commanders as a primary with extra rage, not very fun. Getting 1350 rage might not sound that much in comparison to like a normal skill, which is 1000, but I can assure you, if you're dropping down a proper skill with 1350, you're going to be losing out on that skill drop way more often than you will be able to throw it off. So this is great. It's a great skill, 1250 if you're using him as a secondary, which I recommend for both Honda and Mehmed. If you go to your second skill, 10% attack, it's great. 20% march speed is really good. Now, Mehmed, I'm pretty sure, does not give any march speed. No, he doesn't. So Mehmed doesn't give march speed, but if you put him behind a commander that's already pretty fast, that's going to go pretty good for you. Now, when you're attacking troops with Honda, not barbarians, not Kurak, nothing like that, you'll get 30% extra attack bonus. So basically, 40% attack on the open field is really, really good. Mehmed, in comparison, is only a 20% attack. So that's not as amazing as Honda, but it's still better than nothing. Honda's third skill, it's also field related. 5% damage reduction, just all damage reduction. Caesar's all damage reduction is better than this. And his active skill cast will cause the target to take a bit more damage. So 200 damage factor, 400 total after 2 seconds. And he reduces opponent march speed. Not Caesar. Mehmed doesn't do this either. He's lacking on that. However, once again, Mehmed has higher damage factor all up. Honda's other skill, when he's leading troops, 2% increased capacity, 10% if maxed, and deal 1% increased skill damage per 8% or 5% with 2 or more different unit types. So basically, what this is saying is, if you have one unit type, every 8% of troops you lose, you'll get a 5% skill damage bonus, which can't exceed 60%. But if you have 2 different unit types and you're using Honda, every 5% of troops you lose, you will gain that increased skill damage, which is 5% increased skill damage when maxed. This skill is interesting, it's good. However, you do need to be damaged, once you've taken damage for this to actually trigger. But with Mehmed, who just gets a base 30% skill damage bonus with his relic included, yeah, that's way better than Honda in my opinion. However, it is half of Honda's, but Honda needs to get extremely low in terms of troop count for this to actually become effective, and at that point your skill damage is not that good. And then his final skill, this skill I'm curious on how it actually works, but I'm pretty sure the way this works is whenever receiving a normal attack on the map, troops led by this commander take 30% less damage from this attack. This effect can trigger 57 times per hour after leaving your city. So what I think this does, and I'm not 100% sure, whenever you leave your city, 57 turns. Each turn is 1 second, and that's one attack. So 57 turns, you'll take 30% less all damage. After that 57 turns is over, then you have to wait 1 hour for that to refresh, or go back to your city and then resend Honda out for that to refresh. This skill is great. 30% less all damage, basically. This is 30% less damage, which means all damage. Is really, really good. Very tanky. Something Mehmed doesn't have. However, Mehmed has 30% health. Health is probably just a little cut below that 30% all damage. And you may be thinking, well, then doesn't that make Honda instantly better? I think that at this point, if you're a free-to-play, low spender, even a whale actually, if you don't already have Honda maxed, then I wouldn't max Honda. I would say that a maxed Mehmed is probably just a slight bit below Honda, and Honda's just really a micro optimization at this point if you're going for a 5-6 march murder ball. Mehmed in a 6 march murder ball, 5 march murder ball, he'll do fine. 1,150 to 5 targets opposed to 1,250 to 3 targets is actually better. So his damage factor is better. Even once his expertise, it's just straight more damage factor, 2 more targets. He has more health. Granted, he doesn't have as much capacity. He does more skill damage right off the bat. However, Honda's skill damage will increase more later. And then the final thing, Honda does have this expertise skill, which is really, really good. But Mehmed has the 30% health, which I reckon is basically on par with that. So overall, if I were to make a judgment, I want to say Honda's still better. He still is just that slight bit above Mehmed. So if you saw a Honda, let's say if I had two of the same combos, like a Boudica Mehmed and a Boudica Honda, you'd probably see the Boudica Honda win, but I don't think it would be by that much. Now, the other thing with Mehmed, of course, you can get him in both, I'm pretty sure, the gold chest and the daily special offer. Let's just see here. Alright, there he is, Mehmed. So he's available in here if you want to spend money early game. I don't think I recommend spending it on Mehmed. You're probably better off if you're buying bundles, going for YSG or maybe Charles Martel or Richard, since those commanders. Richard's probably better in terms of early game than Charles Martel, but Richard loses his value quite hard in Season of Conquest. I do have one report. This was just like a real quick test. It doesn't really show much. This report is myself versus Scurvy, a friend of mine. He was running pretty sure it was a Nevsky William, and I was running a Boudica Mehmed. Now, keep in mind, I was in the secondary alliance, so I was missing out on a lot of, so if we zoom out on the map here, the main coalition has, where is it? Main coalition has the Kingsline building, so the main coalition has the Lost Temple. So they get that 3% all damage and all damage taken reduction, so the Great Ziggurat. They also have a few other buildings that the other coalition didn't have, and it's not the best duel, it's not very accurate to be honest, but with all those disadvantages, also he had better crystal tech. We can see Mehmed actually won. My Boudica Mehmed beat a Nevsky William. However, this Net William is 5551. Most people say that's all William needs though. And I beat him. You see his stats are great, they're pretty good. And I beat him by about 6,000 saves, which is extremely good. Really, I didn't expect Mehmed to do this good. I actually thought that I would lose by about 6,000 saves, but it's the other way around. If I could find Scurvy's technology, I'll show it. Scurvy's technology, you can see here, he has improved morale up to 5, and everything below this is maxed, and he hasn't leveled anything above this. That's what he said, everything below this is maxed. So if we go check out my crystal technology, you're going to laugh, because I was really, really lazy on bastions and stuff. Attack formation, the first attack formation is not even maxed. I've maxed archer tech, though. I was running a full archer march at the time. My first call to arms isn't maxed, however that doesn't affect this duel, we use the same amount of troops. My improved bows isn't maxed. My improved morale is level 0. So pretty much his crystal technology is a lot better than mine. So he's got all this maxed, he's got the call to arms maxed, his mounted combat is maxed. He's got that all damage as well, so really I was at a major disadvantage in this duel and still managed to win. So if that doesn't prove Mehmed is one of the best commanders in Rise of Kingdoms, I really don't know what does. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe, share it around. It's just a real quick, my opinion on whether or not Mehmed is better than Honda. Good ways to get Mehmed, you know. My thoughts on Mehmed. So if you did enjoy, do it for the Mehmed. He's up in the corner right now. He's staring at you. So you just have to do it now. Do you really want to fight Mehmed? I think he'd beat you if you would have fight, alright? I think he'd absolutely deck you, mate. So you got to subscribe. You got to drop a like. If you're ready, I released a video yesterday where I went over every single relic. I went over what I think's good, what I think's bad, best investments, which one's actually going to end up making the commanders somewhat usable. I went over some secrets, special commanders. My favorite being Caesar. If you want to know more about him, you're going to watch that video tomorrow. And overall, if you enjoyed, thank you and goodbye.